Welcome back to Wartime and welcome aboard the AMX-30 1972 here in realistic battle on the Stalingrad map, and this battle will be really nice. However, it is a bit deceiving, and I already covered the AMX-30 1972 in some first impressions. So why do I play this tank again? If you remember that video, I was saying things like I like how the tank drives, I like the mobility, the turret rotation speed, the stock grind is actually pretty nice. If you think about it, you have a stock heat shell with 360 millimeters of penetration, which is just 10% less than the heat FS from the Leopard, and that has to go through a pretty nasty stock grind to get to this tier 4 heat FS shell that has 400 millimeters of penetration. Amongst the very nice things was also a coaxial 20 millimeter machine cannon that I really liked. So Gaijin released now a dev block with, the offer for a pre-bundle with a premium version of this tank. Which will be the AMX-30. And it will be a tier 5 premium tank. It will be the first one, and the question is, will it be worth it? And I have to say, I'd be very careful with this pre-order. Now, it has nothing to do with the bundle offer itself. It's kind of fine, but it's expensive at the same time. Now, let's just see what the 20mm can do. There is a Hellcat. There was a Hellcat. And this is very, very nice again, and I could not shoot through the fence or through the tree with the heat shell because even the leaves of the tree, or let's say the fence, would have triggered the fuse on the heat shell, and I could not have killed that Hellcat. And so, you know, that 20mm was essential for getting this kill fast, reliable, and without receiving a return shot, which this tank cannot really deal with because of the lack of armor. Now, the front plate is maybe a little bit bouncy, but that's about it. So, in the premium version, this 20mm coaxial gets replaced with a 50 caliber, which cannot shoot through concrete walls or through wooden obstacles, in the sense that it can remove it. And here we can see an essential component. I actually disabled here the gun breech of this Centurion Mark 10 and killed him with the second shot reliable. And this is something that I noticed when I drove this tank again for 2 battles, that the heat shell seemed to do more damage than I remember. The first time that I covered this tank in the first impressions, I was like, you know, everything about this tank is okayish to good, but the shell damage is abysmal, and this has probably to do with the shell design. It's a spin stabilized heat shell, so that the inner core doesn't rotate, but that reduces the caliber and also the effective high explosive charge around the heat core, so to speak, or the copper cone, and therefore reduces the damage output. I agreed to this, but the damage was still extremely bad. It was worse than I remember, for example, a 90mm from the Americans, or hell, it was comparable to the German 75mm heat shell from the Panzer IV F1, you know, down at battle rating 3.3, or even lower than this. I mean, even on the first Panzer IVs, it just had very good penetration, and this made the tank very, very nasty to play, because you had a good shot at an enemy, you penetrated it, and you did no damage, and he turned around and one-shot you. So this was very frustrating to play. This seems to be not the case in this battle. However, I cannot tell you anything about the actual performance of the ammunition of the AMX-30. I assume it will have the very same ammunition. Gaijin also announced something in the way that they will drop the battle rating of this tank from 7.7 to probably 7.3, or at least it was one of the comments. By the way, ignore the lag spikes here, there is no combat taking place, so the lag spike actually doesn't affect the battle performance or my opinion on the shells, as it doesn't even perform with perfect connection. So yeah, ignore that please. Back to the topic. So the AMX-30 will probably have the very same ammunition than the AMX-30 1972, it just will be premium, and will also have then the same battle rating of probably 7.3. Another example of how important that 20mm is, I cannot shoot through the steel beam with the heat shell because, you know, it would again trigger it, but I could shoot through it and also remove it with the 20mm because the 20mm has some API T shells, which are really nice. So back to the question if the pre-order bundle is worth it. Well, it's a pre-order, so again we have no idea what Gaijin is actually offering you here in reality. I mean, yeah, we can see and compare it to the tech tree version, but what ultimately comes out of it, how it will play, how the environment will be for it, if it will get buffed or nerfed in any way, shape or form, and if it actually will receive the battle rating reduction, which actual ammunition the AMX-30 will get, I have no idea. And for that we need not just wait for the dev server, but also the actual release stuff on the live server, and even that can change within a few days after release. Remember what happened to the T29, remember what happened to the IS-6 after a while. It got quote-unquote readjusted or you know, fixed for quote-unquote bugs. And the same can happen to the AMX-30, so I have no idea what will happen. And I don't want to spit here into the soup of Gaijin, to be honest, because this is how they make their money with this, you know, bundles. But you know, it's also pretty expensive, and it costs around about 50 euros, $50 wherever you live, and what you get is not just the tank but also 15 days of premium and 2000 gold needles, which is nice, but not everybody wants that. And how much actually the tank is worth by itself, I cannot tell. And the same goes for the M48 Magach 3, and it also costs, you know, 50 euros. However, you also get for that pre-order what it seems like unique decals, unique camouflages, and a unique title. I for myself do not really care about the title too much or the unique skin. What I care about is the tank itself, because that is the main reason why I would buy a bundle, you know, because of the tank. So is it worth it? I cannot answer that to you. If you're a hardcore collector, if you're a hardcore fan of French tanks, then maybe you would just, you know, go over those arguments and say, I don't care, but I buy it anyways, and that'll be fine. But for the average player that wants to support a free-to-play title like War Thunder, but wants to get a worthy stuff out of his buck that he spends on the game, that question remains if it's worth it. And again, I cannot answer it to you because I have to wait. So the ultimate tip would be to just hold back your money if you're not like a collector of titles or unique skins. And you know, those unique skins is a question by itself. If it would be just a skin that is available to so many other tanks in the game but will not be available for this tank once it gets out of the pre-order. Again, we will have to see. I hope that I get access to those tanks as early as release day, and then let you know days afterwards if it is worth it after playing it excessively. So this Panther 2 just received a shot. He cannot shoot this M41 Walker Bulldog. I gave him the chance to shoot, so I took the shot and got my 7th kill. At this point in time, you might say, wow, The tank is just amazing. Good battle, good results, and I'm not quite sure if Gaijin has buffed anything about this heat shell, or if I just had a few lucky battles in a row, because also the previous battle the heat shell did much more damage than I remembered. Some of my friends that are also really deep into tanks were saying, yeah, but there was no mini patch, there was nothing about this tank, it has not been buffed, but it really feels different. So I'm a bit confused. Sure, the battle is worth showing, but I cannot tell you if it is worth it or not to go for this tank in the tech tree, and again, ultimately, the premium version of it, which is, again, not that cheap. So be careful what you're asking for, hold your money, and let's wait for at least release date. So let's have a quick look at the post-battle results for our 7 kills and 2 capture zones. 57,000 silver lines. With the premium this will be higher, as will be the modification research points or the vehicle research points with 4,600. I also was first in team with 2,122 score points. Sure, this was a nice battle, but I think it was a one-time off, and I had some very nice disabling shots followed up with some nice killing shots. If you watch the battle again, I also was not shot really, so the armor was not contested. My team did well. The 20mm will fall away, and I did 2 out of the 5 kills with just the 20mm that I could not have done with the heat shell by itself because of obstacles in the way. So think about this. The 20mm will get replaced with 50 cals, and I think this will have a big drastic impact, and then even the battle rating reduction will not compensate for that in my books. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.